Okay, welcome to episode 3. I'm joined by Z, my fellow rep knight, producer, digital designer, filmmaker. Z, how are you, bro? You alright?
Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the House of Rap. I'm good. How you doing?
Brilliant. So you can hear me okay? Everything's coming through? Because we're doing this
Yeah,
like a long distancey.
yeah,
But yeah, today's episode is about the development with the PS5. Now, me and Z have been gamers almost all our lives, like since we've been toddlers. So our first console was Mega Drive. We've always loved Sega. It took us a while to embrace the first generation PlayStation. When Metal Gear hit the scene, that's really when we gave it some serious kind of time. Gran Turismo as well was a really big game for us. It was really good, some cool stuff. And I still remember playing Broken Sword and Road Rash on that.
oh
Fun
yeah.
stuff. I mean, Pro Evolution back when it was called ISS. Yeah, cool stuff. So Z, the DualSense controller, the new one. Let's jump
Yeah,
straight into that. Let's talk about that. So, Sony had a reveal on the controller. Yeah, good stuff, isn't it? The design, they haven't really
yeah, that
broken
was,
anything.
wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry, you were saying? Go ahead, go ahead.
That was shown on the PlayStation blog, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they basically released a brand new controller that is kind of gone in a different design sense to
Mm.
like controllers we've seen with PlayStation, DualShock 2, DualShock 3, DualShock 4. We've seen with this new one, it's not called the DualShock anymore, it's called the DualSense, which is
Hmm.
something new. So they're trying to go into a different direction with the control, general aesthetic, I believe, of what the console may look like when we eventually see it, and what this new controller looks like.
Yeah, I mean, like they haven't really broken. No, they kind of gone with the kind of design aesthetic that if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Kind of
Yeah,
thing. It feels like the DualShock 4. It just has a much nicer color scheme. I'm liking this new color scheme. If this is the color scheme, then the console's gonna look like this kind of space gray kind of look. I think
yeah,
they're trying to
more like
match
a
up the yeah, they're like going back to the old school kind of PS1 color scheme, a little bit lighter in tone.
more
You know,
gray.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of gray, and also, they haven't really added the touchscreen, which a lot of like theorists were thinking that was gonna happen. So
Yeah,
they're thinking that this was gonna have a sort of like a OLED touchscreen, with capacitive kind of controls, and to add like a new dynamic with mini maps and other things like that.
yeah,
They
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
done that to make it, but it's a good thing because like a controller is gonna take a beating. It's
But I
gonna
have but I have seen that somebody's done like a really nice mock-up of what a potential PS5 console will look like based off
mm,
the design of the controller, and he's
mm,
taken those kind of design elements off the controller of the side lights and stuff, and the
mm,
lights, um,
yeah, yeah,
and white predominant look of the console, because it's kind of got the controller's got a kind of two-tone color to it now. It's not
mhm, mhm,
predominantly black anymore. And when
yeah,
you used to buy the controller, it used to be like the top plastic part used to be a different color, and you still used to get the black pads around the
yeah,
edges in the buttons. I've also noticed that the D-pad and the buttons are white as well. They have white surrounds as opposed to black.
yeah, yeah. Sort of
Um,
gloss on it, isn't it?
they haven't really gone away from the traditional dual joystick design. It's not offset like the Xbox One is. The new Xbox Series X controller. That
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah, yeah.
control. It's got
I
newer
mean,
buttons.
personally, I always loved the Xbox controller more. It just fits nicer in my hand.
Yeah, it's a
The
good.
triggers always felt a bit deeper. The positioning of the sticks has always been a bit difficult for me. I've always found them a bit strange when they're together. I always think that they're too close. And the offset works a lot better, and that's the plus point I would give to Xbox. But the thing about the the DualSense controller and what the PS4 controller is that it's very light. So the controller's light in the hand for long gaming sessions. Share buttons and other things were a lot better on the console too. It seems like it's got a lot of the stuff that the fourth one has. You know, like even it looks like it's just being sort of transferred over, so the microphone's built in. Like they said now, it's got a microphone built in that allows you to talk and play. You can still use a headset, and the headset will always be better, but straight out of the box, you got the ability to talk to people, and I love that. And that also, I think, is going to add a new dynamic to gaming, because you might have to answer back to NPCs and other characters, or, you know, adds a new dynamic to gameplay. Do you think that it not having a screen hurt it? Like, do you think it looks just normal?
I think it's just, to be honest, I think it's just a cost thing. To make a little small screen is costly for Sony to make on a mass production scale.
So have the controller affordable.
Exactly, yeah. You don't want a controller that costs as much as a stupid smartphone or something like that.
Right.
When you can just use your phone as a second screen for like info and stuff, and a touchpad has. I just really hope that developers nowadays use the touchpad in a more creative sense to you know, better the gaming experience.
So does this have the touchpad, or did they get rid of it? This is what I'm confused on.
It looks like, when you look at the photos, it still looks like a button that you can depress. And then
I probably never used it, like hardly used it. The only game that I remember using it on is Killzone, when you fire your rappel rope and, you know, add the shield of the drone. Yeah,
Killzone and I think Infamous had it as well.
Infamous had it? I can't remember what I used it on Infamous for. The graffiti, or like was there some sort of graffiti I had to do in that game? That game was great, man.
Motion, yeah, on Infamous Second Son or something like that. Or the spray or something like that.
So what other stuff do you like about it? You like the color scheme, you like new accent lighting where they've moved the kind of mood light from the back.
It's better on the sides than it is onto the top bar that the PS4 Pro controller changed from the original PlayStation 4 controller. Also, they say that it's got haptic feedback, so that should be really good for gamers to enjoy. But the way they said it, it sounds a bit mushy. They're like, oh yeah, you can feel like the mud when you're driving your car in Gran Turismo. And I was like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I should be able to feel that in Gran Turismo anyway. The haptic must be like an add-on that gives me that kind of rumble. It's not going to be a steering wheel, mate.
Yeah. So they're saying that, like, I remember them saying something about when you pull it back, like the bow in Last of Us 2, it really feels like you're pulling it, like when you do it. So that's going to add like a weight to the game, make it feel like it's a little bit more of a, you know, like a kind of effort to do things. Whether that works well in reality when we actually get going and using this in heavy game sessions, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of things that they've done that I like. Like, first of all, I like the color scheme. Two, I like that they haven't made it too far out there and gone, you know what, we're going ultra premium, take it or leave it kind of thing. You're probably going to need to pay half a console's price for another controller or something stupid like that. This makes it affordable. This makes it accessible. I think I know what they're going to do. I think what they're going to do is probably get a mount so you can use the Xperia 1 or the Xperia range of phones with it. So what you could do is, just like on the Alpha series cameras, you can use the phone as a second screen, like a video assist screen. So it has like a really nifty app. So there'll be probably a PlayStation app that will allow you to connect your phone, and then your phone becomes the hub, the map. You're able to chat on that. So you use like use your voice to control actions, you know? So they've already kind of like, in a way, you never need a screen in the controller because the controller is like the blunt instrument that you use to control the stuff.
It's
But
a
for
tool,
fine
yeah.
gestures, you can just use your own smartphone, and then that liberates costs and the need for you to do crazy stuff like that. You know, like it just keeps creativity up because people can do their own setup. You know, and they can even use their phone probably as a controller. I'm thinking that in the future there'll be like sort of like peripherals that will just attach to the phones as well.
Yeah,
You know, they'll
yeah,
probably be like a DualSense Go, or they might even do a DualSense Pro. They might do a different controller which will have slightly better sticks and better
okay.
buttons. Maybe, you know, it might be completely white to differentiate the two. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know what they're
I
kind of
wish
thinking, but it's just ideas that I'm thinking of.
I just wish they had more of the kind of elite mindset that Xbox had,
Mm,
because the elite controller was pretty sick. It was a bit pricey, but the idea of it is sick, where it's like almost modular, so you
mm,
can customize it as you
mm,
see fit and give the triggers travel and stuff like that, and customize the triggers and the buttons
mm,
and modify it. It has really nice touches in that sense.
mm,
Um, Compared to this one. This one seems more proprietary to what Sony want to do with their controller.
mm.
And it's got like it hasn't got a share button anymore. It's got a create button. So
Right.
they don't refer to it as a share button anymore. They call it a create button.
Mm.
That's
So there'll
like
probably be more creation tools for like streamers, Twitches, you know, people who basically want to
stuff
get
like that.
stuff down. It might take them into a new kind of studio where they can add kind of like fonts, text, cut the footage down quicker. I don't know. Maybe they've completely overhauled their that service so that they want to kind of have it maybe all in the house. So you can
I hope
probably
so.
stream straight to the network. And maybe in the future we'll start doing that. We'll probably do gaming live streams and, you know, like
Yeah,
people see how we play as well. We haven't explored that yet. It just gave me an idea for
yeah.
stuff that we can do in House of Rep further down the line. But yeah, let's move over to the PS5. So
Okay.
we're looking at a console that has this amazing hard drive. This is supposed to be like a
Yeah.
game changing SSD. So it's like a hybrid kind of like custom made SSD from Sony. It doesn't totally reach the 1 terabyte mark point, if I remember correctly. It's a little bit under 1 terabyte, but because it does
Definitely.
some kind of like stuff that it does with the OS and the launching and resuming of games, this is supposed to be the really exciting aspect of the PS5. It makes multitasking, loading shaders, loading maps like almost instantaneous. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's good in the sense I don't know why they can't reach the 1 terabyte mark unless the technology that they've made for like whether it being a solid state system or um, kind of a RAM based memory system. It depends
Mm,
on what company you have made and how cost. Again, it's down to cost how easily they can make it for mass
yeah,
production.
yeah,
I personally still kind of liked the Xbox system where they made those 1 terabyte cards in partnership with Seagate.
right. So
Um,
the
they,
Xbox X stuff that they've done.
they kind of look like memory cards that are like huge, you know,
Mm,
and
mm,
they remind me of the memory cards from the original PlayStation, but just like a gajillion times the size.
yeah,
And
brings back memories, isn't it? Of like when we used to plug in those old the old memory cards, and we had to have a collection of them. They had to go in the
absolutely,
cases.
had like a row
You
of
know,
memory
the PS
about shit.
the PS2s had dedicated memory card slots in the case, so that
Yeah,
you know that the game has your memories in that game case. You know, and you're
absolutely.
like to say, where's the memory card for like a thing like a Pro, and you're like, it's in Pro 5, and I'm like, no, it's not in Pro 5, it's in Pro 7.
Yeah,
You know, like yeah,
all those retro stuff like storing the card in the game case. You could see the icons on the PlayStation 2 of
yeah,
individual games with the logos and stuff like that. So I thought that was a nice classic feature. That's a classic feature that they could somehow, incorporate into newer
I
gaming
mean, they
consoles.
talked about it, didn't they? That they might do they're doing something similar because I have to be very honest. Mike Cerny's, like vidcast, this keynote that he did, man. I was falling asleep through most of it. It was just, I love the guy, but it was the most boring, kind of dullest, kind of like office format, and the people look like they were cut out of cardboard. You get what I mean? Like, the people sitting in the front row, I don't know if they've been like keyed in because of COVID, or they were just the core staff or something that had been cleared to be there. But they were talking about all this stuff. They were just, just throwing techno babble at, like people. And I got some of it, but I just started glazing over. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know the hard drive's fast. I know it's got this and stuff, and you've done all this wicked shit, but I want to see it. I want to see if it's smaller than the Xbox X. Because I have to say, I love Xbox X, and I want to do a separate House of Rep, kind of like preview, kind of our thoughts on it, like we're doing right now with the PS4. But I'm loving what they're saying. They're saying that we're going to be able to backwards compatible the entire library going back to Xbox One. So that's great. I know that it will be select titles. I'm hoping they finally add DOA to it, because I never see DOA on there. The PS5 is backwards compatible, but it's only from what they are telling us right now, it's only going to be PS4 titles, and they're gonna have a huge library, and obviously they themselves have been remaking all of their old games anyway. So like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, a whole bunch of games have gotten the newer treatment. Final Fantasy.
Aren't they going to incorporate PlayStation Now or something like that into it?
I think so. I think that PlayStation Now would just be part of that, that package they'll offer. So the library's going to be there. The library's going to be on the cloud. The newer games, you want to put them directly on the hard drive. The hard drive will pretty much be used for the running of the games, making them seamless.
Okay.
You have another hard drive for most of your storage. I mean, that's definitely the option that I would do if I get the chance, is that I'd have this massive hard drive for the library, so it doesn't affect the operating system. So even like our game captures, fights that we have in Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, and whatever the next generation beat 'em ups are, or our gaming sessions, anything that we find really cool, we just store it onto the other hard drive that we put, because we keep running out of capture space. We record so many fights and so many bouts that we have, like it starts to swell up, so then we have to like offset that. So better cloud integration, better smart integration, is really good, so I can tell it to do stuff. So it would be good if I could tell it, okay, you know what, there's a downtime where I'm not going to be playing, I'm going to be downloading a movie, so can you just do a defrag, right? Or can you clean up the cache, or can you do more kind of computer-based kind of stuff to just speed up the processor, like speed up stuff so that things like that. Actually thinking of it, if we're going to go really technical, with SSD, you don't really need to worry about fragmentation so much in it. So that's why they've gone into the SSD territory. So that what I just said was kind of moot. You don't really need that. But you could get the processing to concentrate, or the PS5 to concentrate on the speed, the download. This is one thing that I really hate, right now with like PS4 and the network. It's really slow. Like everything is slow. To download a game takes like a month, it feels like.
It does.
So I really hate that. Like I put the game in, so I remember they made a big deal about mocking Xbox and saying, oh, well, I can give my friend a copy of my game. And, everything that went down like a house of cards, and Microsoft had egg on their face and stuff. But you put the disc in, but it still downloads the game. There's only some kind of a little bit of the game actually on the Blu-ray. It feels like, I don't know. Someone needs to kind of like correct me on that, but it feels like basically we put the disc in and it installs like 10% of the game, and then the rest of the game needs to be downloaded, and then you use it to authorize your game session. Now, if we can eliminate that altogether, so I can still buy a physical copy if I want, but the game is actually on that physical copy, and then I download a digital one because I want a digital one, or I automatically have the digital version of it so I can remotely play it without a disc. Now I want discless gameplay. I want my library to be accessible everywhere I go, so I can take this controller with me. Like everything basically that the old stuff has, the PS4 has, I wanted to do that, but I wanted to do it faster. And that's hopefully what the PS5 will do.
Yeah, so let's see what happens, and let's see what's going to happen. Hopefully we'll get some sort of reveal with the console sometime bloody soon, because it's been taking like forever, and then it's only been prolonged even longer with this silly with the virus and whatnot. So let's see what happens.
They said that it's on track still for holiday period. So most likely prototype locked. First Q&A beta testing was done, alpha testing was done, and they're probably at a gold level now of locking everything down. Hardware's probably locked down now. I don't think they're going to make much revisions to it. Pretty much everything's ready, and then concentrating more on release and marketing of the console, because I mean, Mike said himself that they had been working on it since PS4. So so that's a long time. We've had 2 generations, 4 iterations of the PS4, minor SKU kind of changes. Like the most recent Pro just has a slightly quieter fan and better cooling, and things like that. We have a first generation Pro that's still doing a good job for us. I love that console. Our old first generation PS4 just didn't make it. From a design point of view, it was really great, but something happened to it. I think it overheated. Something's broken in it. We got to take it to a shop and get it repaired, because we've just got this PS4 that's sitting around. But I think that they got to look at that. They've got to look at build quality. They've got to look at obviously they're trying to make it cost effective.
That's the 2 things that are most important that I want to see in the PS5 console, is what's the build quality like and how durable it is under pressure, under a load, a CPU load of doing like 4K, 60 frames gaming and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the game's it's like long. You have long gaming sessions. So did they talk about cooling and architectural design of the cooling or something? Because Xbox
really did, but I've glazed over it. So
I know.
Kind of like,
can't even remember.
Yeah, let's just hope for the future and see what happens.
Yeah. What do you think of the core clock, 3.5 with 8 cores? You okay with that? You think that they're squeezing as much as they can out of this Zen 2 CPU?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think it will do the job. But the thing is that the GPU is the more key element than the CPU. The CPU backgrounds and more UI stuff.
Like a RDNA 2, like custom. Like I guess it would be based off of a like a current generation AMD, and then they kind of tweaked it to their style. But it's 10.28 teraflops of processing power. That's not bad. Just clocked a little under the Xbox X, but I think it's just going to do a good job. I think it's going to do what it needs to do, and the PlayStation studios are really good at using what they have. Excellent.
Yeah, so let's just wait and see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it'll be good.
You think 16 gigs of RAM is enough, though?
Yeah, I think that's more than enough. Yeah, more than enough.
I mean, we're not looking at like you don't really need something like 24 or like people going crazy with like 128 rigs nowadays in PCs and stuff. But that's a different type of beast on its own. Like console gaming, PC gaming are always going to be different. There's a lot more that you can do with a desktop than you can do with a games console. And I really buy a Sony PlayStation for its library of titles. So it's about content. And this is something that Xbox is trying to kind of move away from. Like they're saying that, it doesn't matter if you buy a Microsoft game from us. If you buy it on an Xbox, it's going to be Xbox X ready. If you're going to buy it for Windows, you're going to have it on thing. So that cross-library capability is another nice touch that Microsoft has done. So I wasn't really happy with the Xbox X when it came out. I thought it looked like a Betacam kind of VCR kind of player, like a set-top box, and they were trying to make it so that it was like an all-in-one kind of let's dominate the entire the market, and they kind of lost the ethos of what it was. It was supposed to be a games console. This stuff was all supposed to be like ancillary features. There shouldn't have been a kind of heavy emphasis on the fact that you could control your TV with your Kinetic and stuff. They did a lot of missteps, and I remember seeing that, and I was just like, I was with you. I remember we saw the E3 drop of it, and I was like, what the hell is this? You've gone backwards. You made your 360 so slim and so neat, and you made this freaking like VCR kind of PC. But then in retrospective, now that I've actually seen the console, it needed all that cooling, because the original 360 I kept getting the red light of death. I went through about 4 of them. Microsoft just kept replacing them for me, and they kept breaking.
It was.
But the 360 had so much. The 360 had the same kind of. The 360 had the same kind of mileage that we did on a PS2 and a PS1 and our Dreamcast. Those are the kind of consoles that we just played constantly. They had a great library, and that was the thing. The library was stronger than the PS3. Ports were better as well, so arcade ports just felt a little faster on the Xbox. So most of the time, when it was a hard console to dev for, the PS3, that's why it's the other way around with the PS4. Like, the PS4's got so many great titles, and every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, I'll get the PS4 one. And I'm always tempted to get an Xbox. I keep thinking I'm going to get an Xbox X because it's got a 4K player built in, but I just held off because, I was like, might as well just wait for the PS5, and hopefully they don't do something stupid and not add a 4K Blu-ray drive, because I love my physical film. I try not to stream whenever I can, because the bandwidth and bitrate is just not the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now they've ticked a lot of my boxes with the PS5 and with the Xbox, the new one. They've done some really cool things. Really cool stuff.
We'll just
exciting times.
Sorry?
Oh, I was saying it's exciting times. Exciting times for gaming. Things are getting better. Games are looking more and more realistic. You got high dynamic range, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos now built in. Working with these newer Sony TVs, these new LG nanocells and OLEDs. Technology-wise, the way things are so seamless, the way the immersion, it's really going to be an exciting year for gaming and the next year and going forward. The innovation is incredible. So I'm very excited for the PS5.
Yeah, let's wait and see until the holiday season what we'll be getting, and hopefully we'll be enjoying the gaming properly and not through any other means, and we can actually enjoy our consoles properly.
Yeah. So we're just going to wrap up this podcast for today. I want to thank Z for tuning in and giving me his input on it. And we'll catch you on the next episode of House of R.E.P. This is your host. This is your host, Ray Janjua, and I'll see you guys soon.